guys, it's March 24th. We're on block 21 of Sewcialites, so we're almost done, guys, which this has been so exciting to offer all of you guys a free pattern to make an entire quilt. So we'll be ending it soon, and then once we end, we are going to be focusing on our charity fundraising. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the block today, the designer, and show you our blocks first. This is our 9-inch version using fig tree fabric. This is our 6-inch version using Camille Ross Kelly fabric. And this is our 3-inch version using basic gray fabric. And the block name today is Dapper. The designer is Jane Davidson. And I'm gonna pop up her image of her block real quick. The block uses half square triangles. It's beginner friendly. And Jane shared that about her block and said that she loves the simple but versatile block. You can make vibrant quilts with fussy cut elements, solids, and prints. It's an easy block for beginners to make in any size. And the fabric that she used on this is 23 by Eric and Julie Comstock, which is like a super old moda fabric. But when she's talking about fussy cutting, if you see in the center on the 4, there are little circles. Those are fussy cut. And then in the center, the face is fussy cut. So that's kind of what she's talking about. We do carry her downloadable patterns. She's based in Australia. 9 patch in the air, nested churn dash, stepping out. And Jane does a lot of work with Pat Sloan. So that's super exciting. So thank you so much to Jane for designing our block. I'm going to move these 2 away. And also as a reminder, these patterns are completely free at Fat Quarter Shop. At the end of our Sewcialites2 journey, we will have a trunk show of all the quilts with all of our sample makers. I wanted to talk a little bit about the simplicity of this block. There are 4 squares for kind of this outside. And you know what the designer was talking about is you could fussy cut all of these, and then the center can be fussy cut. Now it can be on all sizes. The 3-inch gets a little bit hard to fussy cut, but I will show you, we did fussy cut that center. It's just gonna be, it's gonna fill up more of the space than this one did. So the fussy cutting is great to do when you have rulers that are the right size. So using square rulers really helps fussy cut. I don't know exactly the sizes, so that's probably not even the right ruler. But using rulers to fussy cut is fun. And then obviously the outside are half square triangles, which is super, super easy. So we're gonna kind of jump right in and make some half square triangles, which I know I do every week. We've got our fabric A and our fabric B. We're going to put those right sides together, and you can use our half square triangle cheat sheet. If you are making the small block, you're going to use H100. If you're going to make the medium block, you're going to use H200, and if you're going to make the big block, H300. So super easy. And you'll notice that when we started this program, we made all of our blocks 9 inches, and then we moved to make blocks 6 inches, and now we're moving to 3-inch. And what we intentionally did is made all of our harder blocks the 3-inch because that makes it a little bit more doable. And there is a finishing to finish the quilt if you've made all of your blocks in one size, or like me, if you've made 8 of each size block, and that is also completely free. So for these half square triangles, I'm gonna just stitch on that dotted line with a really short stitch length. And then from here, I'm just going to cut on the solid lines, and then I'm just going to chat with you. This block is so easy. I don't really feel like I need to sit and show you every little detail because I've done that a million times. I'm sure you guys are tired of it. I don't want y'all to tune out. So I'm going to talk about some fun stuff. So we got a couple of questions before we started about Kevin playing guitar, or does Kevin play the music we hear when we wait? No, he doesn't. If he played, it would be more like Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, Metallica, really loud, obnoxious stuff that I have no interest in hearing. So I'm pretty sure you guys are not interested. He's actually very talented. He can play, he plays really good. It's just a lot, but I don't think it would fit the show. I think he has 5 guitars. He still has the guitar he had when he was in high school. And I don't even know anything. I just know he has a couple, like he has bass, acoustic, electric, I don't know, all that stuff. But a fun story from this week is he went to Chicago for a show for warehousing. So, you know, to look at things for our warehouse. And when we travel, we always stay in hotels. We use points. We never pay for a hotel. We use points from our credit card. So we ended up staying in a really nice hotel. I'm going to be sewing down here. And Kevin does not ever text me. I get a text and he's like, oh my gosh, guess who I saw? So I'm going to let you guys guess who he saw in the airport. Think big hair, 80s rock. And we'll see if anybody guesses correctly. Now, I will say he's a famous guitarist. I'll say that. And we'll see if anybody can guess who he saw. No. Okay, let's see. So we've got Alice Cooper, no. Axel, no. Rod Stewart, no. Steven Tyler, no. But I have met, and I do have a photo with Steven Tyler. And he was actually very nice. And a lot of you are getting it now. Yes, Slash. So he was walking out of the hotel to go to dinner and saw him. And then he was walking inside from dinner and saw him again and almost got in the elevator with him. Of course, he didn't say anything to him. I mean, you know. Do any of my kids play the guitar? So, no. I have one that plays the piano or the keyboard. And I have one that kind of plays the drum. I have one that plays the clarinet. And I have one that just signed up to play the trumpet, but not guitar. In high school, I played clarinet, but I only did it because my mom really wanted me to, and I hated it. And when I say hated it, I mean hated it. I'm not really into music. I mean, like, I know who musicians are, but I could really care less about it. I probably would have recognized him, but I'd rather just sit and watch true crime documentaries. What is my nail color? Okay, so it's Cajun Shrimp. Sometimes I change it. When I change it, I usually have bad luck. So when I walk in the nail salon, they always, even the people who don't do my nails, they're like, Cajun Shrimp? And I just say yes. How much background for the background for my Sewcialites finishing should I get if I have already made all of the blocks? So I would go to the fabric requirements and just calculate kind of, I don't think I have that separately. You could just calculate what you have left to cut and try to figure it out. And then Ilsa asks, I sew my triangles from triangle paper at 1.5 stitch length, but the lines always have to make an extra stitch. Do I stitch better at 1 or 1.8? I stitch it like a slightly over the 1 is what I do. We will be having a quilt along for Lori Holt's brand new Quilted Witch. In fact, I can actually show that at the end. I can show the storyboard we have for that because we just met with our sales rep on that. Have I been watching Zodiac? No, I don't have the History Channel, I don't think. I might have the History Channel, but I don't know. Can you, or should you iron before cutting the half square triangle? No. I don't iron first. Do I have a low volume bundle put together for sale? I don't right now, or Fat Eighth bundle, but what I can do is I can ask someone in our content team to try to put something together today and see if we have enough inventory to do it. How many 5-inch squares are in a yard of fabric? I can tell you, if you take 8 times 5, 36 divided by 8 is 4. Let me do it on a piece of paper when I get done. So this block was so easy, I didn't even have to think. So we'll just leave that question up, and I'll have to probably do it with my, I'll have to write some things out. I have not been watching the Aiden Fucci trial, but I'm pretty familiar with it. Can you explain a scant quarter inch? Okay, so some people use a scant quarter inch to sew. I never do. But the point of it is, if you use a scant quarter inch, is so that if you are having trouble getting your block to the right size, like say your block is always coming out a quarter inch smaller, if you do a scant, that should make it a little bit bigger. As far as needles on my Juki, I tend to use 90 or 80, and I just use the universal needle. That's what I use. Oh, okay. So we do have an answer to that other question, but let's see. Do you have a pencil? I can write so I don't look like a fool. Okay, so here's my block, super easy. Okay, so I'm gonna write on here. So how many 5-inch squares in a yard of fabric? So you get 8 5-inch squares, because 8 times 5 is 40, so you get 8 across. Okay, 36 divided by 8 is 4.5. 4.5? No. What's 36 divided by 5? Sorry.
7.2.
So 7 times 8 is 50. I think you get 56. So I think that's the answer. So we had a question earlier about finishing. So if you're going to do the setting with the mixed size blocks, you just need 1 yard for your background. If you are doing the Sewcialites2 with the single size block, I would download this and just figure out what you haven't cut yet. What is the name of the mini block for the Fussy Cut Center? So right here, this is a Dwell fabric by Camille. Is the new witch pattern beginner friendly, and is it a kit? Yes, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it at the end of the live stream, because I have some other Riley Blake stuff to talk about. Is the vintage remix coming in April based on the Thimble Blossoms pattern?
Vintage remix is never sold.
Vintage Remix is members only. Can I see that question again? Oh, it's okay. It's not based off of Thimble Blossoms, but more information will be coming to members April 3rd, and then after that I will give the information to everyone. And oh my gosh, this is hilarious. I do this all the time where I have scissors. It's ridiculous. When gifting quilts, do I wash them? No, I don't. I'm not a big fan of washing quilts, but we're about to see a big, nice trunk show with quilts that are washed. Will there be a live stream where you piece the entire quilt together? No, absolutely not. I would probably, when I construct a quilt like that, I do it at home because it's like, I know that sounds weird, but it's like my personal space. I know where everything is. If I started doing it here, I think it would be a little bit out of my comfort zone. You know, I get used to the space because I film in it, but like when I'm assembling a quilt, I go fast. Like I put headphones on, I don't talk to anybody. Sometimes I lock my door. I mean, like I usually will do it like 6:30 in the morning when nobody in my house is awake, and by 10 it's done. So I wouldn't do that on camera because first of all, I'd make mistakes. Second of all, I get frustrated. And third of all, I wouldn't be able to go as fast. Hi, Doug. Doug says, happy Friday. Doug Lico. Judy says, using an old Singer Scholastic and looking to upgrade, don't know where to start. Any suggestions? So I always think a Janome is a great beginner machine because they're a little bit less expensive. Or you could go to like a local, I would probably go to like a local sewing machine store, try machines. Every machine has a different feel. So stitching on a Bernina is a completely different feel than stitching on a Juki, than stitching on a Pfaff. I think Pfaffs are great also. I've had a Pfaff, I've had a Janome, I've had a Bernina, but for the last 10 years at least, I've only used a Juki. Do I carry the ruler for the mini fussy cut center? Yes. So this Creative Grids has a brand new ruler. It's a 1.5 inch. So we do have that. And if it's sold out, it'll be back any day. Sometimes their rulers sell out. I may have missed, but when is the finishing setting pattern going to be released? Denise?
For Sewcialites?
Yeah.
End of April.
End of April. So towards the end. Oh, so they wouldn't be able to see what size. Maybe you could email Nova at fatquartershop.com and she could give you an estimate of how much background you would need. Is Fig Tree starting a new sew along since this is the last month for Bliss? Yes, we're going to talk about that. Yes, but different designer. When will the new fabric requirements for the next Sew Sampler be relieved? April. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the live stream also. Do we film in an office or off-site? We film in our office. So like my office is downstairs and then we have a film room upstairs. So it's definitely like separate, but at the same time, like when I'm at home, I have carpeted floor, like I can listen to my headphones. I don't know how to explain it, but like I'm very much this is kind of a personality thing that I've learned. I'm a creature of habit. I like things the way they are. I don't like change. Anyone in my life knows I don't like change. It scares me. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a break, and when we come back, because we're going to reset this whole stage, we are going to be doing a trunk show with the brand new Summer Memories book. And in case I forget to tell you, next Friday's live stream is going to be one video will be the Sewcialites standalone. It won't be live, it'll just be a video. But our live video will be Susan Aki joining us talking all about color placement, and that's going to be so amazing because I know that I can even learn a lot from that. So I'll be right back. back. So we're going to do a fun trunk show with the brand new Summer Memories book. It is designed by Susan Aki, published by It's So Emma, which is also our brand. It has 6 quilts and 10 cross-stitch projects. It's 73 pages, and I'm going to kind of just flip through so you can see how beautiful the book is. And all the fabric requirements are within the book. If I go through and read off every fabric requirement, the live stream would never end. But it's a beautiful book. It's printed beautifully. It's printed in the US, in Minnesota. And the cross stitches, I wanted to let you know, if you want to know more about the cross stitches, I want you to go to the Fat Quarter Shop Cross Floss Tube channel, Fat Quarter Shop Floss Tube on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. And we're going to, on next Wednesday, March 29th, we're going to show all the cross stitch there. And we'd love for you to subscribe to that channel because we don't have very many subscribers. So let's start with the Crossroads quilt. And I'm going to just show you the backing from at the start. So the Crossroads quilt is 52 by 64. It's on point. So this is your block. These are sashing blocks. And then these are setting and corner squares. So this one I would say would be more of an intermediate to advanced quilt. These are super easy blocks. These are just squares with corner squares. Half square triangles. This is strip pieced if you want to. But I would say the difficulty on this one is medium. And on this one, basically, there's one block. I wanted to talk a little bit about how she places her colors. You'll get more information on that next week. But by quilt, I'm going to kind of point out a couple of things. She uses one background throughout. I think this might be an older American Jane background. It could be pin dot, I'm not sure, but it's a red and white polka dot. She uses that throughout. All of the sashings right here are the same. And then she used 12 different reds, 6 different blues. This is the same fabric throughout for the sashing and setting. And then obviously there's an inner border, outer border. So for variety, she's got 12 reds, 6 blues. Of course, think about it if the book says you need 12 fat quarters or 6 fat quarters for blue, but you have 12 fat quarters. Well, you could just make, more variety of blue. You can always kind of adjust. So this is the first quilt. Now I did want to let you know that these quilts are all washed, so they're not going to be as flat and crispy as mine. They're lovingly washed and beautiful. And all of this in the beginning of the book, she talks about her color, but these are all different designers. So she's got a fig tree blue, she's got a Minikin Simpson blue, fig tree red. This is definitely not fig tree. So she has mixed all kinds of designers in here. And what you're going to want to tune into next week is she kind of keeps them the same hue, H-U-E. I don't know how to say that. So she just gets blues that match, doesn't matter what designer or manufacturer. Reds that match, etc. So that's the first quilt. You do not need any specialty rulers except for one of the quilts, Kayleen. So that one I'll talk about when we get to it, and it's kind of obvious. The second quilt is called Fireworks. There are 12 total blocks. Sorry, I'm trying to. So there are 12 total blocks, and the block is right here. This one is 70 by 90, and on the back she used a 108 from Moda. It's 11179-21. So on here, this quilt, the way that you piece it is with partial seams. So you make 48 flags, I believe, 12 stars, and then we give instructions on the partial seam. So that's how you get that beautiful look. If you didn't do a partial seam, you would have a cut right here and a cut right here, and that would give a break to it. Now, what she used is 24 reds for the flags, 18 different blues. So 12 blues for this and 6 blues for this. Now, of course, you could do all one fabric if you wanted to. There's an inner border, an outer border, and on this one, she used the same binding as the outer border. So you can always, like when you're thinking about picking your fabrics, which I am going to talk about in a little bit, with this quilt, you could have put a red on the blue for the binding, or a dark blue. You could have pulled this dark blue in. It definitely would have stopped the quilt, but this is softer. So it depends what kind of look you're going for. And you can see the same thing. She's got Minikin Simpson blue, fig tree blue. I don't know, I know that's fig tree. You know, it's just all a mix. And so you're going to want to tune in next week because she talks a lot about that. So we'll pull the quilts so you can see kind of all her colors. And this right here is the sashing. So right here, this is sashing. And just to point out, what she has you do is match these 4, and we have instructions in there for that. And again, the book is Summer Memories by Susan Aki, Making Memories One Stitch at a Time, 6 quilts, 10 cross stitches. So this next quilt is obviously a flag. I'm going to show it to you this way just so you can see all of it, even the bottom, and then I'm going to put it on the table. Okay, so we're going to kind of start right here and talk about some cool things about this quilt. So the first thing is the size. It's 52 by 80. And she uses like 20 reds, 20 whites, 7 blues. So a lot of different fabrics here. So let's kind of talk about what this is. So cool because it's amazing. So basically here you're making blue stars. You don't need any kind of special ruler for this. And then here, it's kind of hard to see, but all of these are different flags. It's a Flag Day template. So they're red, and basically you alternate, but the same thing, these are creams, and it's hard to see, but all of these are different fabrics. And like I said, she used red 20 and then cream 20. Of course, you could use more, you could use less. But what's really cool, when we went to the photo shoot, I was like, oh my gosh, look. So she did a blue binding here, and she just made it work. So you just have to, if you want to make the binding line up to be like a flag, you would use red here, blue here. And what she did is you just start and stop kind of there. And you just have a long piece for blue, a long piece for red, and you kind of have to just plan it. And then we'll pull so you can kind of see the reds. Now when you look at the reds here, you'll see they're very medium. So they're not, I mean, some of these are darker, but a lot of them are light. And of course, these are very low volume, very little prints in them. Some have blue, some are just cream. Are there instructions in place of needing the ruler? Yes, we have a paper. Oh, I'm going to show you the back. That same backing is used. There is a template, and I'll show it to you. So there's a template that you can make yourself from in the book. And then here, this kind of shows you, you make it bigger, and then you trim off the edge on both of these. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And then what you're trying to do is line up each row, like at the little point. So that's the Flag Day quilt. The next quilt, I'd love for you to look at the fabric. This is called Lazy Afternoon. And looking at this quilt compared to the others, it's a totally different colorway. Her lights here are much busier than the previous quilts. So when you looked at the previous quilts, there was a lot of cream on cream or white on white or tiny blue. This, she used really busy low volumes here. And so she used, and then for the blues, she used 14 different colors. For the pinks, she used 14 different colors. And then the low volume, she used 20 different colors. And on the back, she has like a light pink Bella. And this is an older fig tree dot. I think it's out of print. And this one's a bigger quilt, 68 by 84. And you can just look at the beautiful fabrics. But you can see it alternates blue, pink, and then, you know, different. There's a lot of different placement within to give it that look of movement. Instead of just like all blue or all pink, there's movement of the colors, which really gives it a nice, beautiful thing. The Flag Day quilt, 52 by 80. And you buy the template at fatquartershop.com, which is also where you buy the book. And there is not a list of the exact colors in the Flag Day quilt because she used her scraps, and a lot of them are sold out, discontinued, older. We did have a bundle to create this quilt. It has now sold out and we can no longer get fabric. So the thing with books like this that use scrappy fabrics, you have to have a stash, you have to build your stash, you have to kind of shop. And I'll talk a little bit about how I'm putting mine together. But this quilt is called Summer Picnic. It's 70 inches square and we're having a quilt along with this. The Summer Memories quilt along begins May 1st. More information on that will be next week. So let's talk a little bit about this quilt. And so this quilt, there are 5 different basket blocks. And you're going to make 2 to 3 of each. So they look the same, right? But like if you look at here and here and here, it changes. So within, there's like basket 1, basket 2, basket 3, so on and so forth. So more information is going to come next week. So what I'm going to talk about after we do the trunk show, I am going to talk about fabric placement. So this one, she used 16 different fat quarter backgrounds, 16 10-inch squares for reds, 16 10-inch pinks. So you just need 10-inch squares for red, 10-inch squares for the pink, 16 fat 8s for the basket bottoms, and then obviously cornerstones, etc. The backing on this one, she put it looks kind of grunge-ish, but I don't recognize the fabric. And the border and the binding are actually the same. It's hard to tell, but that's the same fabric. And she has little stories that go along with the quilts throughout the book. So this one is 4 by 4. And so I would say any questions you guys have on the quilt along, we're going to answer those next week. So any questions that come in on that, you're going to have to wait till next week because that's when our blog will be released. The book design is by Susan Aki. And the last quilt in the book is the Veranda quilt. It uses only 2 fabrics. It's 72 inches square and it uses 1 background and 1 blue. And of course, when you're looking at this quilt, you want to kind of think about, you could do this in anything. You could do white and navy, white and red, You could do black and white. You could do, if you have a kid going to college and they have college colors, this is a great bed quilt. You could make it a little bit longer to fit their bed, but it's a great, you get to strip piece a lot of it, so it's a lot easier the way we wrote it than if you did each individual piece. I'm going to kind of show you where the blocks are. So like this right here is sashing, this is sashing, and this is sashing. So your block is really right here. And but this is a great design. You know, we're always getting questions about college quilt. This would be great. And then the center square, I think it's, actually I can look in the book and see. The center square is only cut 2.5. So it finishes at 2. So this would kind of be, you could fussy cut here, but it would be a little hard because it is so small. And then on the back, she did put a Zen Chic fabric on there. So even though you have like a Bella solid white and blue on the front, you can use anything on the back. And I don't know which Bella she used on this, but we can ask her next week. So those are the 6 quilts from the book. I'm going to kind of lay them out all together, and I'm going to talk about fabric so you can see it kind of overall. All of the patterns will be in the book only. Nothing will be sold separately. That's the way we do books. So the book is Summer Memories by Susan Aki. And all the fabric requirements are in the book. She uses so many different fabrics, there would really be no way to So this is kind of the overall look of the book. And again, it's all scrappy. So this is the Summer Memories book by Susan Aki. And so what I kind of wanted you to look at is looking at this quilt. Her reds are dark. Looking at this quilt, her reds are dark. Looking at this quilt, no reds. Darker reds, lighter pinks. This is just a 2-color quilt. Now, when you look at the blues, she keeps the blues very consistent throughout. So she's got like very clear blues. The reds, though, when you look at this quilt, she's got darker reds here. These are much lighter. So it's all about fabric, and I want you guys to be thinking of what questions you want us to ask her, because if you put it in the comments section, we can add it to our list to ask her next week. That's always something great. And she's going to talk about how she buys fabric to be able to have the stash to do quilts like this. Now, of course, looking at this one, if you talk about backgrounds, she has, these backgrounds are very white on white. This one is very busy. These, very light here, busy here. These are all busy in the squares, light in the rectangles. Here, this one's different in that each block she uses a different background. So she uses the same background throughout. Different, and they're all light, but they're different within each block. This one obviously is just 2 solids. This one she used one background through the stars, and then very unbusy, and then these are more cream, and they're very low volume with very little movement. But I think that's what's beautiful about the book is it isn't just by ABC Collection, put ABC Collection together. It's very, you have to sit and think about your fabric. So I'm going to kind of talk about my fabric and how I came up with it. And Bonnie asked, do I tend to choose the fabric or the pattern first? And I usually pick the pattern first. So I'm going to show you I'm going to talk about what I'm going to be doing in the quilt along. And again, let's see. Okay, so this is Susan's quilt. Now, let's talk about quilt along. We had to decide which quilt to do as the quilt along. I happen to love baskets, and because there are 5 different basket blocks, I thought it would be fun to use this one because of that. You need 16 backgrounds, 16 fat quarters for the background, and like I said, 16 10-inch squares for the red, 16 10-inch squares for the pink, 16 fat 8s for the basket bottoms. The sashing is 1 1/4 yards. The cornerstone is a fat quarter. The border is 1 1/4 yards, and the binding is 3/4 yard, and the backing is 4.5 yards. So that will give you enough information to start shopping for what you're going to do. So I'm going to show you the fabrics I picked. Now, months and months ago, we had Isabella in stock, and I told you guys I bought those fabrics to start building my collection. That's where I started. And that's kind of when I started. So I kind of started picking the fabrics a while ago. I'm going to show you my reds. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how it's different than hers. Okay, what I'm going to do. So these are pieces of Jolly Bars that I pulled from either my stash or bought a Jolly Bar. And I have all my reds. There's plenty of reds out there. So definitely I had more reds than I needed. So all of my reds I went with very dark. There is a mix. These are mostly Minnick & Simpson. Some are super old. Some I bought on eBay. Some I bought on Etsy. Some I found in my stash. Some I bought from Fat Quarter Shop. So sometimes, you know, it can get expensive doing these scrappy quilts if you don't have a stash. So these are my reds. And like I said, these are 10-inch squares. So some of these were originally fat quarters or fat 8s in my stash. Some were Jolly Bars. I just made it work. And they're all starched. So here's my reds. Now this one is a little busy when you look at it. So this one might get replaced with this. So I do sometimes have backups, and I'm going to talk more about that fabric. So here's my reds. My blues were a little bit harder. You need fat 8s, but I only had 10-inch squares here, so I had to buy more online. And I think I have all the blues, or I might be short 1 blue, but either way, I'll figure it out eventually. But you can see here my blues, I tried to keep them very medium. Now you could go navy, but I wanted to be very medium here. I'm going to keep this one and talk about this one. And I mean, these are just random collections. Some are new, some are older, some are lighter, some are darker. With this print, I will tell you, when I start making these pieces, I will not include this part, because if you do, you're not going to have blue, you're going to have white or red. So I will probably have to fussy cut and use more in this area than this. So you kind of have to keep that in mind too. So there's my blues. Most are Minnick & Simpson. And then my pinks, I'm still short 2. And you can see I have these 2 really big pieces. Well, I just bought them on eBay. So here's my pinks, and these are, again, mostly Minnick & Simpson. I think maybe all of the fabric is Minnick & Simpson. But you'll see I have some Jolly Bar pieces. These are from Roslyn Jolly Bars. This is a 10-inch square. Some of them were bigger pieces I cut down, so you can see the salvage on that. And I have everything starched. And I'm going to show you kind of my background too. So today is all about, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and then you can decide what you guys want to do And all the information, including fabric requirements, will be on the blog next week. Now this one I am short one pink. Now this one, you see, this is a 10-inch square. I didn't cut this down because this is not all usable when I do the pink. I'm not going to be able to use that or this. I'm going to be using this little section here to get the pink. So that's why I left this one bigger. These are all starched and ready to go. So basically I followed a little bit of what Susan did. My reds are darker, my blues are the same, and my pinks are the same. But the background, she has, like I said, I think 16 different backgrounds. Let me look. Yeah, she uses 16 different backgrounds. I decided that that is a lot. I don't do well with backgrounds that are busy, and backgrounds always are the one thing that throw me off. So I picked one background, and I picked randomly a Dwell background, which is a Bonnie and Camille, or a Camille fabric. It's 55276-32. I think it goes really well. It's gonna make these fabrics pop. So that's one thing that I'm doing different. I'm not using the Scrappy backgrounds. For sashing, I'm gonna use this because I think that is pretty similar to what she did. So it's always good. Look at what the designer does, see what you like about it, and go from there. So this, I'm gonna use this as a stripe. I'm gonna use this as my border. And I was thinking about this for my cornerstone, but I'm thinking it's too busy, and I'm gonna try to find an older polka dot or check from Minnick & Simpson that's a little bit calmer. I think this is too strong. So definitely I'll be taking this out, putting this here. And then finding a different fabric for this and one background. Each block finishes at 14 inches. It finishes at 13 and a half actually. So 14 unfinished, 13 and a half finished. Can you have or posted the fabric requirements? Everything's going to be on the blog next week, but I did read it out earlier. The background SKU is 55276-32. This is definitely, I would say, beginner, intermediate. I am looking at questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions with this. Oh, and then for my backing, I have not decided. So basically, the reason I haven't decided is I keep changing this fabric. So if I use this as my binding also, that will affect my backing, but I haven't picked my binding. So I don't know what I'm going to do for my binding. So because I haven't picked my binding, I haven't picked my backing. My binding and my border always refer and pick the backing. That's how I think. So this is as far as I've gotten, and I will we'll talk more about the sew along next week. And I just kind of wanted to show you my fabrics. And these just came in because I had to buy them online, so I haven't starched those two. And obviously I haven't starched all of my background. That's just, this is the same background I'm using in my Temperature Quilt. And so I had it in my stash. I had the bolt there already. I just pulled it. So you'll have to let me know if you guys are sewing along with me. It's going to be in May, so you have plenty of time. Thank you to the super chat, to the Bathola. I am going to go ahead and kind of start sewing my blocks to get a little bit ahead. And it's always, I would say what I just did is a great idea to always do. Lay out your fabrics, walk away, step 10 feet back, and if you see a fabric that sticks out, take it out. That's what I just did with the red. And these haven't been starched. And this is from their future collection, Sunrise State. This is from a collection that's in stock now. That's how I know, because I bought it from, let's see what this is. Isabella. So I don't know if it's still in stock or not. I bought it a while ago. And with this, I would just say I'm going to have to be really careful cutting these so that I keep my ruler straight on this stripe. If you don't make it scrappy, will the book tell you total fabric requirements? No, it doesn't. It only tells you if you're going to do scrappy, but you could kind of back into it. The triangle paper to use for the baskets will be H150. How much does a yard of fabric shrink when it's starched? About 3 or 4 inches. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. Okay, so remember, next Friday, March 31st, Susan Aki will be a guest. She's going to go in full detail about all of the fabric she used in the books, how she stores her stash, how she mixes and matches fabrics. And then after that live goes, we will show the Sewcialites block after that. So you'll get both next week. Now I'm going to move into all the things I've been sewing at home, which are all of my Scrappy quilts. And I'm just going to show you the new stuff I've made. So the first thing I worked on is Star Streams. Star Streams is a free 2023 pattern only available at Fat Quarter Shop. And these are, the goal of this quilt is to use my leftovers. So this right here is B Vintage. And I showed you last week that I'm starting my B Kite quilt. So these were made after that. Favorite Things is this collection. Blizzard by Sweetwater, and this is also Favorite Things. So these are just some newer blocks. On this one, there's a total of 56 blocks. I have made 22, so I'm about 40% done. So I'm a tiny bit ahead for the year. So that is Star Streams. And on Star Streams, I am using one consistent background. My next Scrappy quilt is Threadbare. It's a pattern by Thimble Blossoms, and we had a video that we released that kind of talks about how I started picking my fabrics, and I've made a couple more blocks. These are from Vintage, B Vintage. These are from Favorite Things. And so you'll see, like, I didn't put any fabric from Blizzard or some, so it's just kind of whatever works is what I'll make. And this quilt uses a total of 64 blocks. I'm about 40% done because I have 26 done, but I can tell you, even though I need to make 64, I'm probably going to end up making 70 so that way I can, if I have too much green or too much red, I can use those extras on the backing. So this is Threadbare, and then this one I am using one consistent background, and the background is a Beyond Bella. The kite quilt I will be starting in April, and all that information is on the blog, and I showed you last week my blocks I have for week 1. So Scrappiness is Happiness. This is my second quilt from that pattern. And I'm using Lori's sew and interfacing to sew my strips down. And this one is, so this one, I had one, I auctioned it off for a charity. This one, what I'm doing is any of the scraps that I have, I am making per collection. So this is Harvest Moon by Fig Tree. Favorite Things by Sherry and Chelsea. Blizzard by Sweetwater. Cascade by Three Sisters. Joyful Gatherings, Primitive Gatherings. Dog Days. And Here Kitty Kitty, both of these are by Stacy Itsu. Dawn on the Prairie by Fancy That House. And then Be Vintage by Lori. And so this one, I'm making one block per collection. It uses 80 different blocks, and I have 35 done. So I'm about 43% done on that one. And these are just really fun to do. So I've made some progress on that. The next quilt I've been working on is the Economy block, and these I've been using with low volume. Now this one is Favorite Things, but there weren't enough backgrounds for me to make 2 blocks, so I actually duplicated these fabrics and these fabrics to make 1 block. This is Cascade, Blizzard. So my goal is to make 2 blocks per collection, and then they're just a little bit different. This one I just didn't have enough. This is the Primitive Gatherings fabric, and I did 2 in that. I did a green one and a red one. So 2 green, 2 red. Harvest Moon. And then the Dog Days and the Here Kitty Kitty, there wasn't enough to do 1 of each, so I combined them. So there's like kitty and dogs together. This is Dawn on the Prairie. And then this is Bee Vintage. So on this one, I have made 73 of the 80 blocks. So I'm almost done. I'm 91% done. And the way that I'm going to be finishing this one is I'm going to lay out my blocks 8 by 10. And I had originally picked these 2 fabrics as like a sashing and cornerstone. And I just did not like it when I saw it on the computer. So I still have this fabric. I'll use it for something. I decided instead that I'm not going to even do cornerstones. I'm just going to do rows of quilts. And I thought this chambray by Robert Kaufman would look good. It's W212-173. And I'm going to show you kind of how I made sure I would like it. I kind of felt like when I laid it out with a darker blue as cornerstones, it just kind of threw off the design. So this is a great way you can see if you like something. So I'm going to have about a 1-inch finished sashing, which that's about 1 inch. And so just playing with the fabric, you can see how it's going to look. And you can see, like with that extra fabric here, I kind of felt like it would form kind of a little sawtooth star and take away from this, if that makes sense. So I have changed my mind on that, and that is going to be my new. And so this one, you'll probably see, the next time you see it, it might be completely done because I've only got, let's see, how many blocks do I have left? I have 7 left. So that's not very many. So I probably need 4 more collections. And then I have decided, okay, when I'm done with this low volume quilt, I'm going to start another one. But I have not decided what low volume. So if you have an idea for a low volume scrappy quilt, you can always put it in the comments. Because I do read all of the comments. And another thing is, I've never worked with chambray or linen or anything. This is starched, so it's a little bit thicker, but I'll have to give you a result on how I think it sews together. I might have to use a longer stitch length, I'm not really sure. And this one I'm going to give to one of the sister-in-laws that I have for Christmas. And this next one I'm going to give to the other one. This is my log cabin, and I just love log cabins. So these 2, this is Bee Vintage, this is Favorite Things, and this is the one where I'm making 1 block per collection and just 1 background per block. So these 2 backgrounds are totally different. I just keep them the same within each block. I'm using the 6-inch foundation paper because it's great with using 1.5-inch strips. I have 21 blocks done. I am not sure on my layout exactly yet, so I'm just making blocks, and when I have like, I don't know, 80 or so, I'll be done. But I did show in the beginning a couple of sometimes when the fabric is really busy, I'll just make random blocks like this that are just scrappy. This won't go in this quilt. I just made it because I had enough strips to do it, and I'll eventually do something with it. So these were just, I made them for fun. And then last year, our scrap quilt was the brick house. And I loved it so much, I made 2 quilts with it. this year and that's a completely free pattern, and it's like 12 by 13-ish. Now, so I decided, since I loved it so much, I'd already made 2 quilts with it, but I still wanted to make more. So Jocelyn shrunk it down to, the blocks would be 6 by 6.5 finished. So I've made 2 blocks with those. This is Favorite Things, and this is Be Vintage. So I have that done, and there's going to be a total of 9 blocks, and I've made 3. So I'm about a third of the way done. And I have been pressing open, I think. And then there's also a big brick house, and I am going to start a quilt in about 2 months, and I'm going to show that to you. My next scrap quilt I got frustrated with, so I stopped, and I'm going to show you my blocks. Where are my extra blocks? Oh, they're right there. Okay, so can we zoom in? I'm going to show you why I got frustrated. So I thought, for some reason, first of all, my piecing right there is horrible. So let's just flip that so you don't see it. I, for some reason, thought this was square. So I thought I was going to rotate the blocks. So I made some blocks with the stripes this way. And then I made some stripes with the blocks the other way. And then I just decided it was just taking too long to make this for a scrap quilt. And I think that when I started it, first of all, I picked a block that's too hard and too small and too many pieces. So I thought, this is going to be beautiful. These colors all go really well together. So I just said, you know what, let me pick 9 that go together. Let me finish it just like the pattern and be done. So this one's done. It's Spools by Thimble Blossoms. And so the next time you see it, it'll be quilted. And with that, I was making, so I have these extras. I'll eventually do something with them. In fact, I kind of know what I'm going to do with them, but I do have these extras. So all of these are going to go home with me. I'm going to eventually do something with them. But I kind of think I picked the wrong background. I'm too OCD to like mix and match. So this one's done. And these will go somewhere. It'll probably go on the back of a quilt or something. So that's done. But, oh, and here's what I picked for my backing and my binding. So this is a fig tree, I think, and that's a Bonnie Camille. And I think I picked these from my stash. So that is done, going to Maggie Honeyman. Okay, so kind of as a jumping off point, where are my little, oh, here they are. So let's just show this. These aren't even the right size, first of all. Okay, these aren't even, okay, so this is the deal with this one. This ended up not square. So you can't just use your leftovers and do a rail fence like traditional. So many things about it were frustrating me. So these are gonna go away, bye-bye. And they'll come, I will use them in something. But I thought, you know what, let me just do a rail fence. Let me just start over, do a rail fence, use more of the fabric. So what I've done is these are 2.5 by 6.5 inch rectangles, and I am just making random blocks. They're 6.5 inch finished. We will eventually have some free layouts for you on the blog. Obviously it's not there yet because I just started this last week. So, basically, when you look at my blocks, they are all, right now they're by collection. So I think I'm just gonna show them this way. I don't know. It's kind of, just show them this way. How about, okay, I'm gonna do it this way because it's gonna drive me crazy. So I'm doing it by collection and just keeping them about the same color. And then if there are 2 busies together, I'm separating them by the less busy. So these are all just random collections, stuff I already had starched that was just sitting around in my sewing room. And so I just did them. Now I'm going to make this into like 144 blocks. I'm going to do 12 by 12 and just, I have them by color right now. So this is kind of my new Scrappy thing that I'm going to be doing. So I have 30 done. I'm going to need 144, so I'm about 20% done. And then I'm going to show you my other thing. So that's kind of what I've started with. It's a great rainbow of colors. Obviously, when I get to the end, if I don't like something, I will take it out. Clearly don't have enough yellow or gray. You know, I have a lot of blues, reds, so I'll have to even that out with time. But I wanted to show you these fabrics were still left over, so they didn't make it in any blocks. So eventually, these will make it into a block when I have enough fabrics. Like that could probably make it into a block now. But these are just random strips that I have left over that eventually, I'll eventually sew them together and mix and match. So these are just leftover. Some are bigger. I mean, obviously this is way bigger than you need, but these were just things from my scraps that I pulled out. So if you want to make a rail fence, we will have a blog post and you can make them. But to start, you just need 2.5 by 6.5 inch rectangles. Sew them together. And that is my new Scrappy quilt. And I'm just coming up with ways to just use everything. Like just use everything up, and I'm looking for easy, quick, non-complicated things. That's one thing that I learned from starting all this is when it gets too complicated, you have to stop everything you're doing, figure out what you're doing, and if it's super easy, you can just jump right in. And speaking of difficult, Temperature Quilt is our new pattern, and I am using a 1 Fine Day Fat Quarter Bundle, and I just wanted to show you my Temperature Quilt so far. So I'm going to show it to you sideways. So to keep it straight, I'm keeping the tops labeled. So that's like the top of A, and then this is obviously B, and then this is C. So I need to sew this together. And then this is D, and obviously I have not made it all the way through D because we're in the middle of March. So this is a quilt where you take the high and the low from each day and you put it together. This one is so hard. So next year we'll definitely be doing something a little bit simpler because this is a little bunch. But I wanted to show you right here, I have 3 pins. The reason why is, like I show you, I always trim a 1/4 inch away. And you can see I trimmed too close. So I cut too short right there. So having those pins tells me when I lay my strip on there, I need to lay it a little bit, not like that, I need to lay it up here. So that helps me, since I made the mistake, those pins tell me what I need. And definitely keep throwing in all your questions. I'm gonna answer all of them. So this is what it'll look like when it's all done. And kind of what I've been doing is I do like 2 weeks at a time and just cut as I go. So once I run out of, like for example this, I make more. Once I run out of some, I make more, and I just make more as needed. And it's a very fun quilt, but it's challenging because all these pieces are so small. And I think that they kind of have to be because there's 365 days in a year. So you have to somehow fit 365 days. Next year, we might just do the average. So then you don't have to, because this is actually whatever 365 times 2 is, that's how many there are. Well, if we just did 365, we can make it smaller. So this one I've finished through March 15th. So this weekend I'll take it and I will add all the way through now. So those are my Scrappy quilts, my works in progress, all the things. I want to show you Bountiful. So this is our charity quilt, and on Tuesday, February 28th, we did a demo, and it was release 1 of Bountiful. And on that video, we also showed sample block quilt, our quilters who made sample blocks with different collections, so that if you want to make this completely free pattern in your own fabrics, that might inspire you. This one right here, I used the quilt kit. Both blocks are done. This is the sun washed collection. And in that video, we showed you the date night pillow that you got for free once we reached 40,000. I'm gonna tease what you get at 60,000. So we're only at like 44,000. So this is gonna be what you get when you get to 60,000. We give away more free patterns. And we have a link to Make-A-Wish so that you can donate directly to our campaign. And we will show that full table runner once we get to that amount. So that is our Bountiful. Now I'm going to show you other things we're sewing along with, but these are less scrappy. These are more designer based. So I'm going to first show you so first, this is the Sunny Patches Block of the Month, completely free by Corey Yoder. You can find all of the free information on Corey's blog, which is corianderquilts.com, and the fabric requirements are there, and she used the sun washed jelly roll. I'm going to show you 3 images. The first image is if you want to make just this block into a quilt without the bonus blocks. This is option 1. This is option 2. Option 3 has the mystery blocks. So I'm going to do option 3, and I'm going to make all the mystery blocks. And all of this is on Coriander Quilt's blog. And it started March 18th, and it goes all the way till October 21st. She will also, in addition to the free patterns on her site, release monthly block video tutorials. This quilt right here that you're looking at is going to finish at 69 by 69. And I'm going to kind of give you some tips on these. So one of the questions in my list of questions here is, did I use a jelly roll? And I did use a jelly roll. But what I did, I used a slightly scant 1/4 inch. So I sewed a tiny bit smaller than a 1/4 inch. And then what I did, because I wanted to be able to trim this down, and there was about 1/8 of an inch to trim down, but I wanted to have a little bit more. So to make it work for me, because I'm crazy, I used a scant jelly roll, a scant 1/4 inch seam to make this a tiny bit wider. I cut my squares, instead of 12.5, I cut them 12 3/4 so that it would just be a little bit bigger. And this is her free pattern. And what I did here, can we zoom into right here? Please. So what I did here, when I put these together, you sew a 1/4 inch away from the center, this way and this way. So I did, instead of a 1/4 inch, I did like a little bit this way. So I kind of sewed right here, and then cut it apart, and that gave me a little bit more room to trim down. So you trim it down to 11.5. No, you trim it down to 12 inches, and then it finishes at 11.5. So I used the 12.5 inch ruler, but then just placed the diagonal line here, here, and here, and trimmed. But to get it to where you have a little bit more, just use a scant here and a scant here, and it'll come out exactly right. So it's an 8-month block of the month. I have all of these done. I'll kind of show you my blocks. And you can join me and Corey, and I'm just doing exactly whatever Corey posts is what I will do. So I think I'm using the exact same fabrics as her, which is the Sun Washed collection. I think I'm even using the same background. I think I'm just copying hers. Now, one thing that is important is when you do this, you have to have this laying a certain way. Because if you watched my little oopsie last year, if you put the background on the wrong way, your strips will go up and down instead of sideways. So you do have to pay attention to that. And she talks about that in her video. So I just, and the way she wrote this is you do it in big long strips and then you cut them apart. And see right there, I can tell that's not pressed right. See, I could tell right there that was not pressed right. So I'll fix that. After the video, I'll fix it so I don't forget. But you can tell from the front if you don't do it right. But here's my blocks, really fun. And I do think those settings that she has are really cute. If you don't want to do the full 8 months and you just want to do the blocks, that would be fun too. So I'm hoping that none of my blocks have the stripes going the wrong way. And I made now when you make it, you make one extra, and what I did is I took the one that had that looked the ugliest out. That's how I got rid of that one. I think it's at home somewhere. I'll probably put it on the back of the quilt. So that is Sunny Patches Block of the Month, completely free pattern. Corey Yoder is the designer. I always love to support the designers, and when they have free sew-alongs, I try to show them to you because it's a great way to use up the stash that you already have at home. I did starch my jelly roll, and I did starch the background, and I just used scant seams so that I would have a little bit more room to trim from. The next designer that I've been working with is Sherry McConnell of A Quilting Life. She has a free block of the month every year, and I am sewing hers. This is my March block. So I have shown my January and February previously. This is March. This is the Berry Basket collection by April Rosenthal. Sherry provides the block patterns and videos the first Monday of each month. She offers 2 free sizes, 6 and 12. I'm making 12 inches. And on this one, I use the 2x4 Flying Geese paper. And I used H400 for these. Now, one question we've been getting is we are sold out of a lot of the Flying Geese paper. And the reason why is there was, I will never compromise on quality, ever. On anything in my life, but this paper is thin. It's a certain brand of paper, and there was a shortage of it for 3 months, and our printer could not get it. So that the only reason we're short is the paper finally came in. So it'll probably be May, and I'm really sorry about that. I just would rather you wait and get the correct thinness of paper than to just give you a bad quality product. The next designer quilt I'm working on is the So Scrappy Spools. And I'm using the Calico Collection by Lori Holt, and the pattern is So Scrappy Spools by Lori Holt. And I'm following this layout. So in this layout, 2 of the flags are one direction on the spool, and one of them is a different way, and that will keep them all facing up. It finishes at 72 by 90. We started this at the beginning of the year, and I will show you, it's gonna go all the way till the end of December. And so I'll just be showing you my blocks so that you can decide if you wanna follow along with my colors or not. So that's So Scrappy Spools. The next one is Scrappiness is Happiness. That is a brand new Lori Holt book. And I have a couple of blocks. Okay, so this is the first block. This is called Checkerboard Star. I went ahead and colored this similar to the one in the book. If you want tips on making this, on Lori Holt's channel, she has a video called Sew Your Stash Series number 32. She released that 2 weeks ago, and so you can follow that. So this one is Checkerboard Star, in case you're following along with us in our quilt along. The next block is Grandma's Donut Block. Now, with this block, these are really small squares. So there's a cheater cloth in the Prairie collection, which is the collection I'm using. So in here, I fussy cut all of these out of here so that this block, because it's small enough, these won't be anywhere else in the quilt. But to get more variety for my quilt, I use this cheater print. So that's Grandma's Donut. This one, she has a video called Sew Your Stash Series number 33. For tips on that, you can watch that video. And always get the cheater prints because they always can add variety to your quilts when you're working with really small pieces. The last one is the Granny Star, and this one, I have a picture to show you. This is an example of how you trim down the center. So you make it bigger and you trim down, and that is how I trimmed down. And when you look at the block, you can see the points don't match. That's really cool. You don't have to match the points. And these prints right here, I pulled from this also. Like these were small enough to pull from 2 prints in here. So that's just a cool tip. This one, she has a video called Sew Your Stash Series number 18. She released it about a year ago, and she has tips on making it. My tip was the tip I just showed you. That was the pop-up image. But also I use Flying Geese paper to do the points right here. So it's pretty interesting because if you, I piece it one way, but if you watch Lori's video, she pieces it a different way. So there's always different ways to achieve the same thing. Just find what brings you joy and sew that way. Gosh, I've been busy, haven't I? The next sew along is a free sew along by Riley Blake. So to catch up, because I haven't been live in a couple of weeks, I'm going to show you the last few blocks I haven't shown you yet. These are blocks 8, 9, and 10. For the free pattern, you go to Riley Blake Designs website. I'm using the Calico Fat Quarter Bundle, and this one started earlier in the year and it goes through May. So on this block, I'm sewing them as they release. So this is Splice by Christy Leah, and I wanted to show you I pieced this one differently. So the way that Riley Blake wrote the instructions is these are flying geese with different tips. But I can go faster if I make half square triangles. So I did 2 half square triangles here instead of 1 flying geese. That's the way you can change up a pattern. Totally up to you. Obviously, it would probably look better without that cut in there, but I prefer to piece that way. So this is that block by Christy Lee. So that's Splice. The next block offered for free was Star Blossom. And this one, I went ahead and sometimes there's prints like this that are kind of hard to use, and this is a great use of it. Now, luckily on this one, Lori Holt colored this for me, so I am just following hers, and she has a free layout for a table runner that I'm going to use. So I'm just following that, and then I used half square triangle paper here. I used a H250 triangle paper there. The last block that's new is Follow the Leader by Sue Daly, block 10. And I used flying geese paper, the one that we're sold out of. I'm so sorry. But I want to show you I made a mistake. But you can't tell. So when I was making this, I did all 3 of these at one time because that's just what I did that day. That happens to be what I happened to do that day. Well, I wasn't paying attention. So in my head, I just thought, oh, so these together, these together, these together, these together. Well, that's great, but then to sew it together, you have to do a partial seam. Well, what I should have done was sewn these 2 together, these 3 together, and done a row. And then a row of this. And then a row of that. But I didn't, because I wasn't paying attention. I was listening to my true crime and going really fast like I do. So I ended up having to do a partial seam to put this together, and it still looks great. I got it to work, but sometimes I go fast. So these are my blocks. Really pretty. And there's going to be 3 more. And I'm super excited. So that is Riley Blake Block Challenge 2023. Now I'm going to show you some quilts I got back from the quilter. So Stronger Together was our fundraiser for Black History Month, and it was designed by Michelle Ramsey. And you've seen it, but now it's quilted. So Maggie Honeyman quilted this one, and she used kind of like a golder blue thread. And so like here it reads gold, here it reads more blue, here it reads more green. So it's kind of one of those threads that I feel like it changes colors a little bit. Because here it looks blue and here it looks gold. So super excited. I think she did a great job quilting it. And on the back is just a label that we sewed down on top after we got it back from the quilter. And then Teresa was making me the Calico Home Decor zippy bags from the Lori Holt panel, and she just finished the last 2. So this one, and what we did is we used Soft and Stable, so they're really sturdy. And she just quilted this one. All she did was do a stitch here, and then she outlined all of the people. She just outlined everything. And then here she did a crosshatch. And then on the back, she just stitched some lines. Here she did kind of that same thing where she outlined the pieces. She did a crosshatch here. And then here the same thing. So excited. I've been using these. And if you subscribe to our Fat Quarter Shop floss tube, you'll probably see those from time to time on there. But it's a great use of the panel. And if Lori also has a video on how to make her project bags. The only difference we did is we use Soft and Stable, where she uses batting in hers. Now our Sew Sampler program, every year since the very beginning, since we've been doing this, there's a block pattern. And it's always sponsored by Moda Fabrics. And so I sewed along with all of those. They're called Bliss quilt cards. They were from April 22 to March 23. We partnered up with Joanna Figueroa of Fig Tree Quilts, and she designed it. So now what I want to show you is the quilt. It's all done. I'm not going to open it because I can't show you the very last block. So this is 2022 to 2023. Now, I'm going to sneak peek 2024. So starting in April, you're going to get a new designer. So close your eyes if you don't want to see it. This is block 1. It is so cute. You're going to love it. So it's definitely like a red and brownish. The designer, Jocelyn, designed it. And it is going to be called Pressed Flowers. There will be a quilt kit, and the quilt kit's in stock. The quilt kit does not come with the individual block patterns. You have to get those in the Sew Sampler box. but that kit has the sugarberry fabrics for the top, the binding, the blocks, just not the pattern. It does have the finishing pattern. This year's will finish a little bit smaller than last year's at 59 by 67. And you'll start getting those patterns in the April 2023 Sew Sampler box. And we always try to make it different. So different designer, different look. This one's really pretty. I can tell you that they're going to be flowers. It's called pressed flowers. So there you go. So that's a sneaky peeky. For our solid Fat Quarter Club, we're trying to show it each month. And so this year we're sewing along with the Sandpiper quilt pattern. This is our April block. And April is green. And so here are the fabrics you would have got if you signed up for the April Club. And well, actually, if you sign up now, you still have time to get the April block. And we have this free printout available also. So that's our solid club. For our YouTube channel, we have a couple of new videos out. The first one is Layer Cake Loop. And on our YouTube channel, if you just want to go back and talk a little bit about how we started, and when Jocelyn and I started the channel, we really wanted to do easy, fun, free. That was kind of our motto, easy, fun, free. We're still doing that. Our shortcut quilts are always free. This one has a couple of different sizes in it. So you've got kind of a crib, you've got a lap, queen, and king. And this one is using the Maureen McCormick fabric called Flower Power. Jocelyn designed it, Nancy pieced it, and Maggie Honeyman quilted it. And just a fast, fun, free pattern. And this is a great one if you're looking for a fun gift, something you want to give somebody a quilt, but you don't want to invest so much time into making the points perfect. This one is great for that, and it's completely free, and it's great for busy fat quarters. But if you think about it, this would be cute with patriotic fabrics. It would be cute with like baby boy, baby girl. Like it would just be cute with so many things, and it's fast and it's fun, and it's still true to that original motto that Jocelyn and I had years ago. The next thing I wanted to talk about was something that's been in the works for a long time. So this week we released a video called How to Make Flying Geese 5 Different Ways. So that's methods 1 through 4. You can use these free cheat sheets. So if you go and you search Flying Geese cheat sheet on Fat Quarter Shop, when you download it, you get all 3 pages. This is something I would keep in a binder in your sewing room. It can help you anytime. This one is a separate sheet, and this is just a Flying Geese cheat sheet. If you're using our paper, it gives you the unfinished and the finished size, and all the instructions are in the pad. So we did this one. You don't really need it, but these you definitely do. And so that was a fun video to do. If you liked it, comment, let me know. Did you like it? Would you like me to do that on other things? We do have plans to do it for at least half square triangles. If you want to see 5 methods to do other things, all you have to do is comment, let me know. We'll add it to our list. For quilt kits, we have a couple new ones. This one is called Luminaries. This fabric is Bliss. So this one is Luminaries pattern, designed by Nova Birchfield. You can get it as a paper pattern or a PDF pattern. You can also get the quilt kit at Fat Quarter Shop. It uses the Bliss collection by 3 sisters. Even this is not Bella, it's Bliss. Front, the backing's separate. Kenna pieced this and Abby Latimer quilted it. No, sorry. Nova pieced it and Joanna Marsh quilted it. There are, it's one size, 54 by 74. And one thing that I like about this quilt that I kind of wanted to point out is, if you look at the design, it looks on point. It's not. So we wrote it to where it's not on point. I detest on point. I'm not a fan of on point. Anytime I cannot do something on point, I'm going to do it that way. So this is great if you want to have the look of setting triangles without doing it. This is a great pattern, and that's why we did it that way. Same collection, right? Yes. Okay. So this is the same fabric collection, Bliss, by Three Sisters. And years ago, we released a pattern called Paris Flea Market Find. I'm going to see if the copyright is on here. It's probably not. Yeah, 2000. Oh, it says 2023 now. But we originally released this years ago. And when I saw this fabric shown from the sales rep, I was like, oh my gosh, it looks so similar to the original. Let's re-kit it, repurpose it. So pretty. And so here's your block. And then these are like part of your sashing. So we're gonna pull it a little bit and then stop. And then for fun, I'm gonna show you the original. The original is actually hanging in our offices because I love it so much. So same designer, years and years apart. I will show you the backing though. So it's funny, like when I pick a backing, it's always similar. You can go back 10 years. I don't change much. That's one thing about Kimberly Jolly. I don't change much. You meet me, I'm the same person you see. So that's fun. Okay, so those are new. Start dropping your questions in because we're getting closer to the end. Before we get to the end, I'm going to show you some new things that are coming in the future, some new things that are in stock now. We are going to have a giveaway, and I am going to answer questions. So now is your time to put your questions in so that I can get to them. So our sales rep for Riley Blake came this week, and they have a new program called the Door Banner Kit of the Month. So we are offering that at Fat Quarter Shop. We're going to zoom in so you can see. So in January, you will get the Happy Easter kit that gives you time to get your kit, sew it, quilt it in time for Easter. There's a different designer for each month, different Riley Blake designer, different theme, and this is exactly what you will get. They will come packaged in this cute little box, and you can sign up today at Fat Quarter Shop. So very excited to offer this as a monthly program, and you can see it goes January to December, and they made it where you have plenty of time to get it sewn for that season. The next thing I wanted to show you was Hush Hush. There has been part 1, part 2, part 3. Now we're on part 3. Hush Hush, if you look at our site, we even list the designer of each SKU. So this one's going to be really popular. It's obviously Lori's. There is a cherry, a sewing machine, and some sewing. Those are going to be really popular. But what I wanted to show you is they are going to have a program called Shine Together with the Riley Blake designers in January 2024. So we're talking 7 months from now. And what that's going to use is a Fat Quarter bundle of the Hush Hush. Now, of course, if you have the Fat Quarter bundle of the first Hush Hush, you can always use that. You could mix Hush Hush 1, 2, and 3. You know, you don't have to buy something. If you already have the original Hush Hush, you can use that. We're going to carry the collection Little Pop starting soon, and that is kind of like a basic. And I am going to show it to you. They shipped me one. It just hasn't arrived to my house yet, but I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to sew along with this. So this is going to be a combination of these low volumes and then this other collection called Hush Hush. So that is January 2024. And I plan things way in advance. So this is 7 months ahead, I'm already adding it to my list of things to do. The next collection is called B Dots by Lori Holt. And of course I have to show it to you because I love it because it's Lori. So this is going to be her next collection. B Dots includes all of this. It's a very large collection, I believe 50 or so pieces. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot of pieces. We're pre-selling the fat quarter bundle and the half yard bundle now. We are also going to have a fat quarter and half yard bundle of just the backgrounds that we pre-sell. These always outsell everything. These are going to be her new 108s. This is going to be a 60-inch wide. And this is going to be great for when I showed you that prairie panel where I cut and chose from those little pieces. This is great for that too. Like you could take a panel like this, any designer, doesn't matter who, cut squares and you just have 50 more fabrics that you just cut. So this is that same concept I was showing you. Now, luckily, we are honored to be able to publish the Quilted Witch booklet. We are pre-selling that. We are also pre-selling the kit, and it's going to be 76 by 89, and we are going to have a quilt along. This fabric collection ships, I'm trying to find the date, sorry, October. So the sew along will probably be like November, December, that type of thing. So this is kind of similar to that same thing where you cut your pieces. So we will have that. We've had a lot of people ask for it, so I just wanted to show it to you. We're going to have a sew along, we're going to have the book, we're going to have everything, and it's going to be so fun. Another thing I'm going to be working on with next year is you're going to see another video I filmed yesterday where I talk about, I keep seeing hearts everywhere in quilts from different manufacturers, different designers. So Lori originally had crazy paper and it was just a crazy paper. Now she's going to have heart paper with Riley Blake and it's going to make this. So I'm going to do a sew along with this also. So I'm adding that to my list, and she has some new notions. So you can find all of that at Fat Quarter Shop, of course. Now I'm going to show you new fabric that's in stock now. But that's just kind of a peek of, I had a sales rep come, showed me new stuff. That's how I pick what I sew. This just came in, is called Deliver with Love by Paper and Cloth. It is a very unisex baby collection, and it comes in yardage, pre-cuts, etc. It's kind of got a little balloon theme. This I'm very excited about. I was so excited when I saw it this morning. I hadn't seen it in person. This is the 2023 Beyond Bella. So these are new Beyond Bella colors. And what Moda does, just so you know, is they will leave the yardage in stock and orderable forever. Well, until whatever, a long time. But they only make the bundles once. So when the bundles are gone, I can't make more. Sweet Acres is a brand new collection by Riley Blake and Bev McCullough. I love it. Love the colors. And this next collection, when I bought it, I loved it. I mean, when I bought it for the store. It's called Land of the Brave, and it's a very traditional red, white, and blue. But I love when panels are offered that are similar to this, because all you have to do is quilt it, bind it, and you're done, and people think you just sewed all those seams together, and you didn't. Another thing I love about it, you can cut pieces of it out to have scraps. You could cut all kinds of things to create extra fabric. So like oops, that fabric probably isn't in the collection exactly, but if you wanted some squares of it, you could get it from a panel like this. So very excited. This one's 23 inches wide. Home of the Brave, Riley Blake. And then when our Moda sales rep came, they had these brand new Dritz ceramic containers. They're really cute. They're a little bit smaller than I thought they would be, but they fit my cross stitch stuff really fun. So really cute. The only thing is they're breakable, as you just saw. So now I'm going to answer any questions you guys have. And remember, next week we're going to have a special guest, Susan Aki. Sharon asks, will I do a sew along with the new Simply Jelly Rolls book? We are currently working on that. Sarah is currently designing it, so yes. What kind of headphones do I use? Okay, so I use Bose. I don't know. I have a gray pair and a pink pair. They're Bose noise canceling. If you walk by my office, I always have them on because I cannot concentrate with noise. I have them on at home when I watch true crime so that my kids don't have to look at my true crime stuff. I wear them when I'm sewing, and I wear them when I sleep. And it gets on Kevin's nerves because when he gets in bed at 3 a.m., he's like, either your dog is in my spot or your headphones are in my spot. So they do annoy him. TB says, I've been excited to finish my collection of Tara Reid placemat panels, but saw the ship date has moved to April. Do you have an ETA available? I don't. You can email Lucy, Lucy, at fatquartershop.com, and she can look and tell you. Kay Fran says she's in the Fat Quarter Shop Reproduction Club. This month's fabric was the Flower House Daisies red work. Do you think this red would work, or is it too bright of a red? I definitely think it would work in the Summer Memories if you keep the bright blue the same kind of hue. I say that word funny. I can't say you or rural. I can't say either one of those words, but whatever. You just got to keep it in that same color family. What do I do with all my quilts? Well, I lose them. That's number one. I have one that's lost currently. They go all over my house. I have cabinets. They go all over work. They're just wherever. I only use a couple of them. And my mother-in-law uses a couple of them. And my kids sleep with some that are theirs, but yeah. Am I going to get any more fruit salad books? Yes, I have them on order. Should arrive any day. This is a good question, Bonnie. How many design walls do you have? So I have one in here, but I don't use one. I use my table at home or my floor at home. And if my floor is too small in my sewing room, I just go in the living room and just lay everything out. So I actually don't have a design wall because I have nowhere to put it. The new Creative Grid rulers, what size are they? Okay, there's two. So one is 1.5 inches square and one is 2.5 by 4.5. Anna Marie says, I am looking at the Land of the Brave fabric line. Will those reds run when washed? I want to make a flag quilt. So any fabrics we sell should not run. And if they do run, you would, I would be very upset. They should not run. Is there a website that has historic highs and lows if I want to do one for my first baby quilt? Weather, okay, what I use right now is Weather Underground. It has a ton of ads on it. Sorry. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. The ads drive me crazy when I go to get my, but that's the only one I know of. I know this has been asked many times, but what are the colors of Aurifil you use? Oh, I use Aurifil 2000, and if I need a darker color, I will use Aurifil 2600. They're probably here. Yeah. So this is what I use at home. I use a cone of 2000. If I need a darker, this is as dark as I'll go, 2600. This is, so this is color 2000, color 2600. This is color 2021, and this is the color Lori uses. And then these are all the same, just different spools of them. So that's what I use right there. Just that. I don't use any other colors. That's all I use. Does the Summer Memories book by Susan Aki tell you the fabric she used? No, but her, because she uses scraps, but that's going to be what the live stream's about next week. Are confetti cottons 10-yard or 15-yard bolts? They are 10 yards. There are a couple of colors they will ship on 20-yard bolts, but I don't know those off the top of my head. Barbara says, the tip of my flying geese are always bulky. Can you share tips on how to trim that part so it's not so bulky? So I would watch my flying geese video because I do show that in that video. Match Points asks, I enjoyed the tutorial for flying geese. Will you do one for multiple half square triangles, 4 or 8 at a time? Yes, we're working on the script for that now. The math won't be so matchy-matchy though. Like when you do the flying geese, you get 4 at a time. When you do half square triangles, no matter which way you do it, you really get 2 at a time. There is a way to get 4 at a time, but I think the method's not good, so I won't show it because it will give you a quilt that's wonky, and I don't like wonky quilts. Sharon Graves, wondering how you get so many projects done. Is it all in organization or are you that fast? Both. I'm very organized, but I have people who help me. I have Denise behind the camera. I have to give her all the stuff when I come. She packs my car when I leave. Denise does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I have someone who sometimes will sew the quilt together. If that person, her name is Teresa, sews it together, I always give her credit. But I do, if I say I do it, I do it. If I don't, I acknowledge that I don't do it. But I work, there's no other word for it. I work a lot. I work, I take care of my kids, that's it. There is no happy hour from mom. There's no nothing. I work, I work, I work. If you wanted to know how many hours I worked a week, you would feel sorry for me. That's just the way that I work. I don't ever stop. I mean, I do take naps every now and then, but like, I have, let's see, 7 basketball games, 1 UIL, 1 solo, and 1 interview for my kids this weekend. I will be at all of those things. I will not be sitting there. I will be doing something with my hands. I will be moving. I will be doing something. I don't ever sit. I'm not lazy. I don't know. This is what Christopher says. It's so funny. And he says this and he thinks he is so serious and it cracks me up. He says he's built different. So maybe I'm built different. That kid is crazy. He's built different. Do you have tutorials on how to use papers? Yes, everything, any of the notions we show, we usually have videos. And if you go to the product on our website and click into it and scroll down, the video will be linked to make it easy for you to find it so you don't have to go on YouTube and search the channel. Oh, Laura, this is a great question and I'm so disappointed in the answer, but is the fig tree fruit cocktail yardage, will I be restocking it? If it's in stock at Moda, yes. So some of it's in stock, about half is in stock and a half is sold out. So yes on some and no on others. And I will say, we bought that fabric, we bought a lot. Like we bought enough, we thought it would last 4 months. That fabric collection has just gone crazy. So I would have bought more if I would have known, but it's gone crazy. Is there an easy formula to take a flying geese block and figure out the correct half square triangle paper to use? So if you take your flying geese size, for example, if it in your pattern says unfinished 2.5 by 4.5, then your unfinished half square triangle would be 2.5. So you'd follow our guide for unfinished, and that gives you finished of 2 inches. So yes, but kind of, are the bags lined? Yes, the bags are lined. And if you follow Lori Holt's YouTube video, we did the same exact thing she did. The only thing different is we put in a thicker batting. Do we get the finishing instructions for Bliss in the April Sew Sampler? You get it in the March with the March block. For the sneak peek for the sampler box, when does that start again? Hold on. Okay, so if you're asking about the Pressed Flowers block, that will start April. When will the new Sew Sampler box, monthly box, block quilt be available? May. I'm glad Denise knew the answer because I don't even know what that question meant, so sorry. How hard is it to quilt with cuddle back? Okay, I think I'm like done, guys. I'm out of everything. How hard is it to quilt with a cuddle fabric for your backing? So I think real hard. That's why I have a long arm quilter. You'd have to have experience. You'd have to play with it. That's a thicker backing. But I love it. Anything that's on my kids' beds has that, and they love it. Will I have some patterns for round table toppers that look fancy but not hard to do? Like, I don't think we have anything in the pipeline right now, but I know that Anka's Treasures has some really good patterns like that. Jaybird has some nice round patterns. Hers are harder though. Table-tastic by Doug Lico. There are 2 or 3 of those books, and those have a couple also. As a new quilter, how do I know what fabric scraps to save? So the smallest I would save is 1.5. I keep boxes of 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5 inch. And I'm starting to save strips that are 1.5 and 2.5. Now, if it's a collection I don't love, I will make a Scrappy strings block out of it and then give the rest. Sometimes I'll give away my scraps to people who work here, or people will win and then give away. So if I love it, I save a lot. Do I carry the Barn Star sampler fabric? We don't. We did have a bundle for that. Now that one, I've already kept you up to date on what I'm doing, and I'm sewing that with a combination of Sunwashed and what's the other? Simply Delightful. Sunwashed and Simply Delightful. So we do have, I don't know if that is sold out or not. Oh, there's a lot of questions left. Hold on, I need to get my tea. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I thought I was done. I thought I was done. Y'all went to another page. Hold on. Have you thought about designing books with the spiral sides so they can lay flat? It's one of the things I like about Lori Holt books. Yes, for Simply Jelly Rolls, we're doing just a simple spiral. Just so you guys know, that is much, 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 much more expensive for us. So if you see like a couple $1 jump in the book price, it's that. That's why, the spiral. But we're getting, and that's why we didn't do them for a long time. But now we're getting so many requests. We are, but I'm sure at the same time, we're going to get complaints the books are more expensive, but it's just a more expensive product. Oh, does the Banner Club give instructions for hanging on a door, like putting in a sleeve? Okay, so we have a blog planned for putting in a sleeve that Teresa is going to be putting together, because Teresa's amazing and Teresa knows how to do that. I don't. That's going to be on our blog. You can use that. How do we make them weatherproof? I don't think you can. I would actually not put those on my front door. I would put them somewhere in the inside of your house. And I actually, what I'm thinking of doing, I have some wreath holders, and they're on the bottom of my fireplace. I have like 3 of them. I know, it's ridiculous. But I blame it on Kevin, because he lost it one year. One year he lost one, so I bought another one, so now I have 3. And he's like, why do we have 3? And I was like, well, if you wouldn't have lost one, we wouldn't have 3. So it sits down, and it comes up, and it has a little loop. What I'm thinking is making those, putting in, just like the other person asked, a sleeve, and hanging it, like put a wood rod in there, and then hang it on that. And I'm going to leave it inside. When will the Heart Foundation papers be out? It will probably be October. Does the Door Club ship January 2024? Yes. Okay, so more on that club. Starts January 2024, goes all the way to December 2024. When we purchase from the manufacturer, we have to purchase the entire year, so you cannot cancel that club. Like, you can't get January, February, and then cancel, because otherwise we'll just be stuck with those. And they all finish at the same size, which is 20 by 36. Will I still show my Barnstar sampler next week, even though we have a special guest? No, but I'll show it the week after. And it's done. I've sewn all the way through April. I'm so excited. But like, yeah, I gotta start that back up. Can Lori Holt charms only be purchased individually? Yes, they're not packaged as a set. Those, I will tell you, they're really hard for us to keep in stock. We buy a ton of them, but they're hard to keep in stock, so I couldn't really offer a package because I'd never be able to keep them in stock. Will the summer book memories have a PDF in the future? Maybe like in a couple of years, but not anytime soon. How do I do my bindings? What's your favorite method? Okay, we did a video probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it's called something like how to do bindings using the binding tool. That's the way I do them. Now, to be honest, that's another thing I don't do. Gina Tell used to do my bindings, and now Teresa's been doing my bindings. Bindings is one thing I don't do, but I love to do bindings. I actually love it, but that's another thing I don't do because I spend my time doing the blocks. When will the Witch Quilt Along begin? Okay, so the kits should be ready October, November. The Sew Along will probably be January. What is my education background? Home ed, fabric design? No, I went to college to be a CPA. I have my CPA license, and I went to school to be an accountant. Do I use stripology rulers? I don't. I just am kind of like we talked about earlier. I'm a creature of habit, so I just love to cut. So I don't need to. I don't know. I don't know. I don't ever want to talk bad about anything. How many yards are on the grid interfacing bolts? Okay, that's kind of interesting. Sometimes I think they're 25 yards, but I could be off. But I think they're 25. We just had Anka's Treasures at our quilt gig last night. Will you be carrying her new fabric line? Yes. What will the cost of the door hanger be? Look on our site for that. I don't want to quote wrong. Lori Holt Farm Girl Country Denim 108. Are you getting more? Yes. Anything Lori Holt that stays in print, we always reorder. When will I do another sew along for Bountiful collection? So for Bountiful, right now I'm doing the charity sew along, and I'm doing the Barn Star sampler. Now in 2024, we will have another sampler quilt. Another charity quilt. So, but it probably won't be the same designer. Maria asks, can I recommend a monochromatic green collection for a baby? We're having our first grandchild this June. So many of the baby groups have, there's a group called It's a Girl and there's a group called It's a Boy, and those are really cute, but I don't think they have green in them. I have to make a lot of flying geese that unfinished 1 1/4 by 2. Can I make them using the 5 at a time? You can make them using the 4 at a time, and you can watch the video and then the download, and it'll give you all the math. Am I ordering Teresa Koget's Easter collection? Yes. Thank you so much for my super chats. We've got Jennifer Richards, Renee Cook, Janine D. So guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. We are doing a giveaway though. Almost forgot. Okay, this is a big giveaway, guys. So we're going to be giving away to 3 different members 2 Sew Sampler Box. You get the February and the March. And what I want you to do to comment today to enter that giveaway is give me your video ideas. What do you want to see from me? What do you want to see? Do you want to see more live streams? Do you want to see more easy videos? What do you want to see? What do you want me to do? I love to read that. I'll spend all weekend reading it, and I'll see you guys next week.